And welcome into this edition of NFL Daily. On this hump day, I'm Cam Rogers alongside the analyst. There he is right there, Mitchell Renz. Thanks so much for tuning into the program. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are 100% live. We encourage you to comment, react throughout the show here today. It's a rankings kind of show, Mitchell. So we're power ranking the MVPs, of course, the LVPs, so the least valuable players, as well as ranking the best and worst coaches in the NFL. Mitchell, a lot of analysis coming the audience's way.
Oh, a lot of discussion, a lot of disputes. We've had a few disputes in the office today, and man, I'll tell you what, I cannot wait. This is going to be an awesome, awesome show. Should
be a good one indeed. But of course, it's ultra good because we are sponsored by Mizzen & Main. Go on to comfortable.af, www.comfortable.af for that full URL, and check out these fantastic shirts made of performance fabric. So they look great, no ironing needed. They feel awesome. A lot of times with dress shirts, Mitchell, I get this problem a lot, or I hear about it too. The fact that these shirts, first of all, they're very heavy. They're very wrinkly, and Mizzen & Main is the solution to that problem. Fantastic fabric, makes it feel like you're about to go to the gym, but you're going to the office, and really a great product.
Oh, unbelievable product. I mean, ever since we moved down here to Dallas, it's warm. We go out, we have fun, we club, and I'll be honest, when we go out on Saturdays, that's the shirt I wear. It's my go-to. It's worked pretty well for me, too.
It's no secret I am a moist man, especially in this hot weather, so indeed, the performance fabric is fantastic. Thank you so much, Mizzen & Main, so I don't look like a goofball underneath my armpits. Appreciate that. As we move along here to the news and notes across the NFL, and we'll start off with Danny Trevathan. His suspension has been reduced from 2 games to 1 game. Of course, we are alluding to that head-to-head hit on Davante Adams on Thursday Night Football last week. Mitchell Renz, a big topic of discussion in terms of, was he really trying to target Davante Adams? Was Trevathan perhaps a little angry because the Bears were, of course, getting blown out? At the end of the day, suspension down to 1 game.
Yeah, I'm surprised the suspension got reduced, but if you're an NFL referee, when you saw that hit, if you want to look up the dictionary of what a dirty hit is to be removed from a game, it's that one. The guy was frustrated, the Bears were getting whooped, and just crown of the helmet to Adams, man, and he was out like a light. Scary to see that stuff. I don't know. I was very surprised to see the suspension reduced.
It's certainly one of those plays where you see it and you actually audibly say something. Even when you're watching the game alone, you say, whoa, right? I mean, it was just one of those
stopped what I was doing, and I mean, you almost have to take a knee for Adams and just make sure he's okay, because that stuff is scary. Like, that is scary, vicious hits right there.
So Trevathan will sit out for this Monday Night Football game between the Bears and the Vikings. As we move along here, Josh Norman, star cornerback for the Washington Redskins, will miss multiple weeks following a rib injury. That game on Monday Night Football a couple of days ago against Kansas City, and Mitchell, Norman hasn't missed a game since 2014. This is new territory for him.
That's actually surprising. I mean, Norman's a pretty physical cornerback, so the fact that he hasn't missed a game is pretty surprising, but this is really going to hurt the Redskins' defense. Norman's kind of that guy who can take away part of the field, and now it's just going to open up a little bit more for unexperienced corners that the Redskins have. This one's going to hurt the Redskins.
Talk about lack of experience and really quality at the cornerback position. Now Kendall Fuller, Quinton Dunbar will probably see expanded roles. I guess the silver lining here, Mitchell, the Washington Redskins are on a bye this week. So
that helps.
Some healthy positivity there for Josh Norman to perhaps get a little better, get some rest in, and perhaps for Quinton Dunbar and Kendall Fuller get a few more first-team reps there. Final news and note here across the NFL. The Vegas Sportsbook has released its latest Super Bowl odds, and guess who is #1, Mitchell? New England, right there, 6-1.
I don't even understand how that's possible. How is a 2-2 team the #1 on Vegas odds? It just blows my mind. If you take away the Patriots' name and just show stats and statistics and everything else of what the Patriots have done, you would laugh.
So the Patriots are at 6-1, Green Bay 8-1, Pittsburgh 9-1. You got to go down to the 4th tier to find Kansas City, the only undefeated team in the National Football League right now. What does that say about that team? Not a lot of faith in them from Vegas right now. As we bring in a weigh-in, are the Patriots the favorite to win Super Bowl 52 this year? Mitchell, sounds like you don't think so.
So I don't know if they're the favorite, but that being said, I don't know if I could take a team to beat the Patriots. I don't know if I could personally do it. As long as you got 12 on the other side of the field, I mean, I'm pretty confident that he's going to win the game. That being said, though, the Patriots right now are not the best team in the NFL, and right now, if the playoffs were happening now, I don't think they would win, but the Patriots, I think, will figure it out.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do you disagree or agree with Vegas? Weigh in the comments section here live. We'll perhaps bring up some of the best comments live here on the broadcast throughout the show as we move along here to some rankings, not necessarily MVP and LVP, but we're talking about coaching staffs right now, and particularly the head coaches. A lot of coaches under fire right now, with some teams really struggling, i.e. the New York Football Giants. But let's start on the positive side of things. The best coaches in the NFL right now. Here are our rankings, and we got Bill Belichick at number 1 for the New England Patriots, Andy Reid at 2, Pete Carroll at 3, Mike Tomlin at 4, and Dan Quinn taking his team to the Super Bowl last year, the Atlanta Falcons, there at number 5. Mitchell, any names that stick out to you right now?
I love Andy Reid at 2. You could argue that he's been the best coach this year, but there's no way you can take Bill Belichick off number 1 with his resume of a career that man has had. And Pete Carroll's been great. I love Mike Tomlin. He's such a good players coach. And yeah, when we see guys like Quinn taking teams like the Falcons, where they were just a few years ago, to the Super Bowl and everything. But I love Andy Reid at number 2. I've always been an Andy Reid fan. He's just got to win that Super Bowl.
He's got to get that ring, no doubt about it. You know what? If we were asking Maurice Jones-Drew right now, he would put Andy Reid ahead of Bill Belichick, because he notoriously gave Reid the edge in that Thursday night opener against New England. Reid the edge over Belichick.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I was really surprised. But, hey, man, he was right. Reid's really good, especially after buys or when he gets time to prep. And he's, like I said, he has almost a perfect coaching career. He just doesn't have that ring.
You know, I think the biggest point of contention will be number 5, Mitchell, Dan Quinn. You threw around the name Mike Zimmer. I think our audience perhaps will have some other names to throw out at us. Dan Quinn there, number 5. I mean, are you a little uneasy about that one, or perhaps he's good there?
I like Dan Quinn as a coach. Like I said, I am a huge Mike Zimmer fan. I think right now the Falcons are struggling a little bit without Shanahan as the offensive coordinator. I think that's why we saw the Falcons blow up like we did last season. But that being said, the Falcons are still a great team, top 10 in the NFL. Check out our power rankings. They're definitely in the top 10. But I don't know. I've always been a Mike Zimmer fan. I think he's a great coach. And it's just unfortunately right now the Vikings are dealing with some injuries, and they dealt with some injuries in the past.
You know, and I think this list right here really isn't volatile. Like, we know what we're going to get from most of these coaches. Outside of Dan Quinn, I guess, we all know who Mike Tomlin is. We know who Pete Carroll is, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick. These guys have been to deep playoff runs before Andy Reid, of course, making it to the Super Bowl against Bill Belichick. Remember, way back in 2004 with Donovan McNabb. So a lot of these guys with fantastic experience. Let's move into a reaction poll here. Who's the best coach in the NFL right now? Toss us a heart for Bill Belichick, a wow face for Andy Reid, laughing face for Pete Carroll, he does love to laugh, or an angry face for other. So are we missing somebody in that reaction poll, Mitchell?
I think it's these 3 guys are the top 3. I think these are the ones that you're going to choose from. But for me, I'm throwing up a heart. I'm going to take Bill Belichick. I just think with the resume that man has, it's really hard to go against it. It's Bill. I got my heart out for Bill.
I'm going to have to go with Bill Belichick as well right now, even though they're 2-2. First of all, Mitchell, 2017, it's been 4 games. The data isn't there to support the fact that Bill Belichick is worse than number 1 right now. They went 2-2 in 2014 and ended up winning a Super Bowl. So with that, we bring in a commenter, Richard Allen Harris Jr., saying Mike McCarthy, double question mark.
See, this is my only argument with Mike McCarthy. I think Mike McCarthy is a good coach. But you could put me in a Green Bay Packers outfit, and if I have Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback in the NFL right now, throwing the football, I'm going to look like a pretty good coach.
That is a great point. That's so true.
That's like the argument with Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson's the greatest NBA coach of all time. You give me Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant in their prime, I'm probably going to win 11 rings.
So what you're saying is essentially Mike McCarthy should probably have more rings than he does right now. Perhaps closer to Bill Belichick rings.
100% agree. 100% agree. Couldn't agree anymore.
And of course, he's been under fire before with his offensive play calling, etc. So definitely weigh in, folks, in terms of who you think is the best coach in the NFL right now as we get a little negative here. Going to get a little dirty, if you will. Coaching power rankings, worst 5 in the NFL. We'll start off with Anthony Lynn. And look, this isn't really fair to him in the fact that it's his first head coaching gig. The Chargers, there was some promise going into this season, but you should give him a little wiggle room. But he is there at number 5 because this team has won 0 games. And when you have the talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball, Phillip Rivers, Tyrell Williams, a healthy Keenan Allen, heck, Melvin Gordon playing great right now. come on, you got to have at least one win.
Yes, I mean, they got to have at least one win. I'm a big Anthony Lynn fan. I thought they were going to be much better than what they are, but like you said, they have yet to win a game. They're turning the ball over. They're not playing defense like I thought they would, and they're also not running the ball like Anthony Lynn has run in the past. I mean, the last 2 seasons with the Bills, when he was a coordinator at the Bills, they were first in rushing yards, first rushing touchdowns, and they're just not getting it done.
Moving on to number 4 here, a guy who could be the first coach fired this year, folks. John Fox. He made the move to Mitch Trubisky now. Chicago Bears will battle the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football, so I guess Trubisky gets a day extra to prepare. But John Fox, number 4, are you okay with that?
I'm more than okay with that. I hate the argument, oh, John Fox was so great with the Broncos. Once again, Peyton Manning was the reason the Broncos were so good, not John Fox. What has John Fox ever done without Peyton Manning?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Mic drop by Mitchell Renz, folks.
It's true. John Fox is an average coach at best.
So John Fox is there at number 4. Again, Mitch Trubisky will be starting at quarterback this week for the Bears. We'll see what happens with his stock, John Fox's that is, in these rankings. As we move to the number 3, Ben McAdoo. Look, the Giants only lost 5 games in 2016, Mitchell. We're looking at a big-time regression type of year for the Giants. They're 0-4 right now. Ben McAdoo under fire. People saying that perhaps he should give up his offensive calling duties, if you will, and just kind of stick to his head coaching kind of general supervision. Not sure if that's going to happen anytime soon, but the fact of the matter is the Giants are struggling, and they're 0-4.
That's what I mean. They're 0-4. When McAdoo first took over, they were okay. Eli was pretty solid, 30 touchdowns. Second year, 35 touchdowns. And then it's just been kind of downhill from there. And McAdoo really needs to just figure out what the heck's going on with this team. Maybe he should spend a little less time on his hair and a little bit more time in the play calling, because the Giants look like one of the worst teams in the NFL, maybe the worst team in New York.
Oh, whoa, that is a great point. I mean, look, the Jets are 2-2 right now, so there you go. By the way, offensive line for the New York Football Giants, not doing Ben McAdoo any favors right now. As we shift over to number 2 here in our coaching power rankings, Todd Bowles, a defensive mind. We all know that perhaps the offensive skill sets in New York aren't that great. Robbie Anderson, your guy at the wide receiving position, that's when it's a red flag for offenses in an NFL team. Todd Bowles at number 2. Could he get fired this year, Mitchell? I
don't know if you can get fired. I mean, we all, at the beginning of the season, everyone was like, oh, Jets won't win a game. They've already won 2 games. Like I said, I think they're right now you might have to say they're the best team in New York, but Todd Bowles, I think, was kind of giving Rex Ryan sloppy seconds. I would still kind of want to be a little patient with Todd Bowles and everything that's going on there with him. So, yes, the Jets are not a good team by any stretch of the imagination. Their quarterback situation is by far the worst in the league. But I think we just need to calm down on Todd Bowles a little bit. But he definitely deserves to be on this list.
All right, here's a guy who has just gotten stale at this point in the NFL. Marvin Lewis coming in at number 1. It is time, Mitchell. Actually, it's been time for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin Lewis, Bengals, stale. Honestly, what I thought of there is stale Cheetos. I think it's kind of it's a weird combination. But regardless, Marvin Lewis has never won a playoff game. And the Bengals every single year, like, I thought they'd be so much better than they are this year, and they've just been a dumpster fire. Congratulations, you beat the Browns.
Win a playoff game, Marvin, for the love of God. All right, there you go. Those are our worst 5 coaches in the NFL at this juncture. As we say thank you to Miss It in Maine here for coming along with the program on this Wednesday edition of NFL Daily. Fantastic performance shirts, no ironing needed, free shipping included as well. And you look great wearing them. You wear them out, Mitchell. I do too. I'm a big fan of that polyester performance type of fabric because, well, I already mentioned the whole sweating thing. But other than that, it feels great.
Well, you also, the thing that you said for me is they don't wrinkle, and they seriously do not wrinkle. We work a lot. We get up pretty early. Yes, we do. And guess what? I don't feel like ironing when I wake up in the morning. I don't feel like ironing when I get home from work and want to go out and have a few drinks. Mizzen and Maine gives you that ability to just throw on a shirt, you look good, and then, you know, you get to do what you want and go out and have fun.
There you go, Mizzen and Maine. Go on to www.comfortable.af because they are indeed comfortable as if. That is the best end to a URL I have ever seen, ladies and gentlemen. Mizzen and Maine, never change. Keep that URL. Thank you very much for coming along with the program. As we move along here, are you ready for some MVP power rankings?
Oh, man, I was born ready. Let's do this.
Let's get to it. Here's number 10 here. Deshaun Watson making history in the NFL last week. How about 5 total touchdowns for this guy? absolutely throttling the Tennessee Titans at NRG Stadium.
Man, this guy's been really good. I was kind of a Deshaun Watson doubter, but he's been really solid this year. Leads all quarterbacks in QBR, leads all quarterbacks in rushing yards with 148, and he's totally changed that Houston Texans offense. We see the Texans normally go with a more conservative approach. Man, they're airing it out. They're playing a lot, and now he's getting Will Fuller back. Whoo! Watch out for these
stud.
Dude, watch out for these Texans. They just dropped 57, and I don't care how bad a defense is in the NFL. You put up 57 points, you're for real.
By the way, interesting report that came out a couple days ago. Bill O'Brien actually wanted to start Deshaun Watson in Week 1 over Tom Savage. So, who wanted Tom Savage? That's the real question.
Tom Savage.
Tom Savage wanted Tom Savage. Maybe the GM or the owner or whoever it was in Houston. So let's move on here to our number 9 on our list, Drew Brees. And look, this guy is coming off a really nice victory against the Miami Dolphins at London. Absolutely throttled them. His completion percentage is unreal. He is still getting it done with the way in which he's not exactly young.
He's definitely not young, but like you said, consistency. 8 touchdowns this year, 0 interceptions. The guy just gets it done every single year, and I just wish the Saints could put a decent defense around him, or else this team would be so good with him. But on a bye this week, I love Drew Brees. Maybe I'm a little biased when it comes to Drew Brees because I do have a serious man crush on Brees. I really do, man.
So he's resting up right now. He's on a bye. He'll play the Lions in Week 6, but hasn't posted less than 70% completion percentage. Really fantastic performance so far for Drew Brees. He is number 9 in our MVP power rankings. Coming in at number 8, I think this is his first appearance this year, Carson Wentz, quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles.
So normally I'm a stat guy. I love numbers, and my math teachers in high school probably wouldn't say that. But when it comes to football, man, I love numbers. And so Wentz, though, to be honest, doesn't really have the numbers, but he's passing the eye test for me on the field. The Eagles are 3-1, leading that division, which is a tough division. And, man, they've been playing some tough games. 3 games on the road. He's leading that team. They're 3-1. They have no running game whatsoever. This he's literally carrying this team on his shoulders. And I think Wentz deserves a lot of credit. Second year, man, he looks good.
He absolutely looks fantastic. By the way, Wentz and Jared Goff at the same time are really starting to hit their stride. Same draft class, of course. So, by the way, Bruce Arians and the Cardinals will be battling the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Arians compared Carson Wentz to Andrew Luck and Big Ben. I will just say also that Blake Bortles got Big Ben comparison. So do with that information with what you want, all right? So Carson Wentz certainly playing well so far this year, in at number 8. As we move on to a reaction poll, folks, who wins the NFC East? It's like a question we ask up until Week 16, to be honest with you. Give us a heart for the Eagles, a wow face for the Redskins, a laughing face for the Giants, and an angry face for the Dallas Cowboys. Who are you going with?
Wow, this is right now one of the hardest divisions to pick in the league. But
always is.
It's definitely not the Giants for me, and I don't know if the Redskins are there like the Cowboys and the Eagles. Cowboys, if they would just run the ball, I would be more confident. So I can't even believe what I'm going to say this. I think it's the Eagles, but it's close. It's always going to come down to like the final 2 weeks in this division. I guess I'm going to throw up a heart for the Eagles, and it kind of pains me to do so. Really does.
Look, I think the Redskins are coming off a valiant performance against the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football. They play their hearts out. They don't have the wide receivers to support really putting up the points that they need against the likes of the Eagles. But still, I think the Redskins can hang around in this division. I think the Dallas Cowboys can possibly bounce back from what was not a great and very inspiring performance against the Los Angeles Rams. And then the Giants, I mean, look, if you do a laughing face, you're basically laughing at yourself here because, well, they're 0-4. Last time, Mitchell, an 0-4 team has made the playoffs. Do you know?
I do not, buddy. You stumped me.
1992. Can you give me a guess?
Well, I wasn't born then, so I don't really remember. What do you got?
I am going with, here it is, the Chargers. So neither of us were born. 1992 Chargers. They started 0-4, eventually made the playoffs. What am I saying, ladies and gentlemen? I'm saying it's very, very unlikely that the Giants will make the playoffs this year.
Or you're saying there's a chance.
Or I'm saying there's a chance to channel my inner Jim Carrey right now. So there you go. Of course, throw in your reactions one more time. Heart for the Eagles, a wow face for the Washington Redskins, a laughing face for the New York Football Giants, an angry face for the Dallas Cowboys. And I just want to touch upon the Cowboys real quick. Mitchell, because we are in Dallas. We have the Dallas hysteria around us. With that loss against the Rams, major concerns for you, especially with that defense?
Yes and no. So the Cowboys were winning that game 24-16, really just dominating the game, and then they just went away from the running game. I mean, Zeke had 16 carries in the first half, and then he only touched the ball 9 times in the second half, and they only scored 6 points, and they ended up losing because that defense is not – they want to keep that defense off the field, control the game with the running game, and I blame that game on the coaching staff 100%.
Really?
100%.
So what about Sean Lee? I mean, the loss of Sean Lee obviously is very important.
Of course, Sean Lee hurts. I mean, and Gurley ripped him up, but when you don't have your best players on defense, you want to keep the offense as best on the field as much as possible, and you do that with a solid running game, controlling the clock, and they just went away from it, something that was blatantly working. They scored every single possession in the first half. Why would you change it? I don't know.
By the way, one important nugget on the Dallas Cowboys. We sang to the rooftops last year about that offensive line, Mitchell. This year, it's a little different, okay?
It's much different.
You lose Doug Free, Ronald Leary to another team. When those new pieces come in, it's hard to kind of make an offensive line mesh, especially at the beginning of the year, so there you go. Of course, weigh in as we move along to number 7, Russell Wilson. So he is coming off a nice performance against the Indianapolis Colts. You know what? He's in here solely because he's playing behind the worst offensive line in the league.
100% right. I think you can make an argument right now that Russell Wilson is the most important player to his team. I don't know if any other quarterback in the league would survive behind that offensive line. This guy dances around. As soon as he calls hike, there's guys in his face. They have absolutely no running game right now. That defense has not been as good as like what we thought. And Russell Wilson's just getting it done year after year. 7 touchdowns, 2 picks. He's on pace right now for 562 rushing yards. The dude gets it done. And he's, like I said, behind a very bad offensive line.
And there you go. 0 interceptions in 3 or 4 games is absolutely amazing to me. Because as a former quarterback, Mitchell, when there's pressure in my face, I'm throwing interceptions. And this guy is not, which is absolutely amazing. So really a nice stat line so far this year. As we go to number 6 here, there's Russell Wilson at 7. Here at 6, Jared Goff. He's here. He has arrived.
Hard to believe. And when I was making these rankings, I will say I did not have Goff in here. And then Cam's like, hey, did you forget about Goff? And I was like, wow. Yeah, no.
We did.
We did. And it's just because I don't think of Jared Goff as an MVP candidate. And then you look at his numbers, you see what the Rams are doing. You're like, he 100% deserves to be in this. 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, a quarterback rating of 112, 3rd best in the NFL. And then the Rams lead the NFL in points scored with 142 points.
Sean McVay effect?
I mean, you have to think so. Think about the fact that he's 17 yards shy of his total passing yards.
That's amazing.
Of last season. I understand he didn't play a full game, or the full season, but still, 4 games, he's already 17 yards shy of all the passing yards he had last season.
And it's not like he has elite weapons on the outside right now. I mean, yeah, Sammy Watkins is
Tavon
good.
Austin's not elite?
Oh, yeah, right. Look, I mean, Todd Gurley is out there catching touchdown receptions for big yards. That's when you know they don't have a lot of options at wide receiver. But very impressive. There's Jared Goff in there at number 6. And we're going to take a little stop here in our MVP power rankings, Mitchell, because it's time to do the least valuable player segment. So what we do here, ladies and gentlemen, we kickstarted it last week. And basically, we pick 5 players who we expected to play well. We're actually even talking about full units in addition to that. And they're just not playing well this year. So brand names, you will know these names as we go along here. And we'll go one by one, so
we'll tease it.
Yeah, we'll tease there.
Tease.
So here's number 4, or actually number 5, I should say. The Patriots' defense, they've been rough.
They've been more than rough. And I was talking to Tom Downey last night on our podcast, which you guys should all check out, Fantasy Rumors Podcast on iTunes. If you compare the Patriots' defense and the Saints' defense, Patriots defense this season has been giving up 32 points a game. The Saints defense, 19.5 points a game. Yards-wise, Patriots are giving up the most yards in the NFL. Saints are giving up the 5th most yards in the NFL. When you just look at the team name, Patriots or Saints, people are like, oh, Saints are the worst defense. It's actually not even close. The only thing people see is Patriots. People just can't think of the Patriots as ever being bad.
Right.
This defense without Dante Hightower is the worst defense in the NFL.
Patriots, a lot of holes right now. I think a big problem with them, too, pass rushing ability. Can't get after the quarterback right now. When any quarterback has time in the pocket, they will pick apart your secondary. It's just the way it is.
100%.
So Patriots there at number 5 in our LVP power rankings. Here at number 4, it's a guy who just got benched, Mitchell, Mike Glennon. What's going on with these big arm, tall quarterbacks right now?
They just can't get it done. I mean, yeah, Glennon has a big arm, but he just wasn't able to show it off. But I think when you look at this, the Bears also, they did not have, they might have the worst receiving core in the NFL. So take that with a grain of salt. But that again, I mean, the guy's got 6 turnovers this year, only 4 touchdowns, and he's just not getting it done. And when he's played bad, man, he's looked really bad. And now the Bears, Mitchell Trubisky getting some work in there.
You excited about him?
We share the same name, I guess. So I guess that's about it. I mean, I think Trubisky's a pretty good quarterback out of North Carolina, but I think we'll have to wait and see. He did look good in the preseason, though.
All right, there you go. Mike Glennon at number 4. Here's number 3, DeShone Kizer. And look, he didn't have ringing endorsements coming out of Notre Dame, number 1. Number 2, he's going to the Cleveland Browns. But he's a guy that comes up in our LVP power rankings right now because, look, the Browns are 0-4. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. And if they lose this week against the Jets, he might go up in our rankings, Mitchell.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. Like, I like DeShone Kizer coming out of Notre Dame. He had a pretty good rookie season, or freshman year, I believe, at Notre Dame. Then he struggled more second year. But Kizer leads the NFL right now with 8 interceptions, only 3 touchdowns. And the Browns, I think, are right now easily the worst team in the NFL. And you have to put some blame on Kizer. They have a good offensive line. They're just always losing. And, man, it stinks to see because I think Kaiser's talented. It's just, oh, man, he's turning the ball over way too much. There's the rookie woes.
Moving into number 2 here. This one is really tough for me to say. Here it is, Joe Flacco. Mitchell, the floor is yours.
Thank God, because this is the man I could not wait to put in here, and I actually could have even put him 1. But I don't want you to lock me out of the room tonight, so we'll keep Joe Flacco at number 2. Second in the NFL with 6 interceptions. He's averaging only 150 passing yards a game, which is the worst in the NFL among quarterbacks who have started 4 games. And he's averaging only 5.1 yards per completion.
That's amazing to me, given his big arm.
But that's what I mean. Like, this guy, 5.1, that's the worst in the NFL among quarterbacks who have started 4 games. I mean, that just blows my mind. I understand the Ravens don't have very good receivers and they have a lot of injuries this season, but come on, Joe. Like, I think you could do better than that. Like, let's get it together, my man.
If any audience members out there have barf bags, please send them to my address. I'll give it to you on Twitter after this show because I'm about to puke right now with the way in which Joe Flacco is playing. But here's number 1 in our LVP power rankings, Mitchell. Jay Cutler, a guy who went from almost the broadcast booth, now officially went to the quarterback position because he got recruited from there. Here he is, and he's been disappointing.
Disappointing is an understatement. How do you only score 6 points against the Jets and the Saints is absolutely mind-blowing to me. And the 6 points that he scored against the Jets was in the final 6 seconds and just the worst garbage time touchdown I have ever seen. This Dolphins team is loaded with talent. Jarvis Landry, Devonta Parker, Jay Ajayi, and I just do not understand how this team is not scoring points. And then you have to look at the quarterback play. And I just don't know if he cares. And I don't like to say that about players, but when you watch him and just his body language, to me it says he doesn't care.
Same old Jay?
Same old Jay, but they've played the Chargers, the Jets, and the Saints, and they're 1-2. And they beat the Chargers because they had an extra week to prepare. I'm sorry, Jay. You got to be number 1 on this list, my man.
All right, folks. So we want you to weigh in. What player is disappointing you so far this season? Doesn't necessarily have to be on our list. So if you are a Vikings fan, maybe you pick out a Vikings player that you thought would play better this year. Perhaps Latavius Murray. We'll see if he can play at a starting position now at running back with Dalvin Cook out. So feel free to weigh in on some disappointing players for your respective team or league-wide. It doesn't really matter, so feel free to comment, and we will show them on the broadcast here as we bring in a comment. Jay Cutler needs to erase all of football from his life, Mitchell. You know, the fact that he actually went from a lucrative job in broadcasting for Fox Sports to another season in the National Football League, it actually surprised me because that's not very Jay Cutler-esque. He's not like a crazy passionate guy, but I guess maybe he is on the inside.
When you're throwing around millions of dollars, like $12 million, that can make you pretty passionate. But speaking of erase, man, how do you spell your last name? Like when I think of like kids in kindergarten, I think of erasers being invented just because of how difficult your last name would be to say and spell. That's impressive.
Thank you for that comment there. That is, yeah. I mean, by the way, he's speaking some truth about Jay Cutler.
He 100% is. He 100% is. He definitely needs to get it out of his life.
So thank you for that comment there. As we move on to Richard Allen Harris Jr. saying Sammy Watkins for the Los Angeles Rams. I think a lot of that has to do with his injury history. His foot, it's a finicky injury that can come and go. I think he's been okay at some points so far.
Well, I think he's been okay. I just think when you think of Sammy Watkins, he was a part of the draft class with Mike Evans, Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry. Yeah, and he was drafted ahead of all those guys, and he has not been as good as those guys, but I mean, he really hasn't been that bad this season. He played really well against the 49ers in week 3, but sure, we want bigger things from Sammy Watkins. I get it. It's been a frustrating career for him, but I mean, he hasn't been that bad.
Let's bring in Elliot here. Mitchell, this is a name that you probably saw coming, and probably the entire fantasy community, Marshawn Lynch. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of expected this to happen. I mean, the guy retired last season. He's coming back now, and when you just take an entire year off from football, I don't care how good a shape you were in, being in football shape is just a little bit different. And Marshawn has put on a little bit of weight. He only has, and you've kind of just seen him just be slower. I mean, he's got 30 rushing yards the last 2 games against teams who are, they're good, but 30 rushing yards in 2 games is pretty weak. And yeah, Marshawn, he looks old. I mean, I'm sorry, he looks old.
You know what? I will put this on my gravestone. Being in shape is not like being in NFL shape.
100%.
There's a huge difference. So great comment there by Elliot with Marshawn Lynch as we bring in Billy here. Brandon Marshall, another guy that was on bust alert among fantasy circles going into this season. Seems like it's panning out.
Billy, what's up, my man? I miss you. Brandon Marshall, 100%, man. It stinks. It's unfortunate, and I was really high on Marshall. I thought he was going to have a much better year, but when you have a guy like Eli Manning throw it to you, man, he also...
That line.
Yeah, that offensive line, I think there's a little bit more to it than Brandon Marshall, and it stinks because the guy's never made the playoffs, but,
right.
I mean, what are you going to do? Can't do anything. Sorry, I told you to draft Marshall. That's on me.
Mitchell, come on, man. Thank you, Billy, for the comment. We are indeed presented by Mizzen and Main. Go on to www.comfortable.af for fantastic dress shirts with performance fabric, no ironing needed, free shipping, free returns if perhaps you get the wrong size. Here's the deal, Mitch. When you want to go into the office, you want to be able to focus on your work. You don't want to think about the clothing that's wearing you down. It's uncomfortable. It needs to be ironed. Mizzen and Main fixes all that. Get the shirt. You look great. You feel great. Focus on your work. Simple.
Focus on your work. Focus on looking good. Look good, feel good, and it's like I said, you will not find a better product for a shirt for going out, having fun,
Sure.
being at work. I challenge you to find a better product.
You're absolutely right in the fact that it's a versatile product, right? I mean, you can go out with it. Heck, you can, have happy hour and chill with a shirt like that, cook out, whatever the occasion may be. So many thanks to Mizzen and Main. One more time, www.comfortable.af, because they are indeed comfortable as F. As we move along here in our MVP power rankings, this guy, I love him. He is the man, Todd Gurley, getting it done at the running back position. He and Jared Goff, what a duo so far this year.
What a duo. Almost as good as the duo as you and I.
Exactly.
Almost. 7 touchdowns this season for Gurley. He had 6 last season, 362 rushing yards, 20 catches, 234 yards, and 3 touchdowns through the air. I mean, this guy has just been an absolute stud. He's a major reason why the Rams lead the NFL in scoring. He's really unstoppable right now.
He is the Rams' running game right now. He's accounting for 53.5% of the Rams' touches. So that includes also receptions. That's the highest percentage, if you will, in the NFL right now. Wow. Very, very impressive. He's just ahead of Le'Veon Bell right now. So Todd Gurley getting it done at running back. He's there at number 5. And we want to ask you folks, who's the best RB in the league right now? Could it be Todd Gurley, Kareem Hunt, Le'Veon Bell? It's too bad that David Johnson is hurt because he would probably be in the conversation. So weigh in, comment. Who are you going with?
Whew, if we're basing it on this year alone, I think the 2 guys are Todd Gurley and Kareem Hunt. And yeah, I'm a huge fantasy guy. They're the only 2 guys with above 110 points for fantasy purposes. Everybody else is under 80. So just from a production standpoint like that, if we're going off of just pure talent, though, for me it's Le'Veon. I still think he's the most elusive, yet guy that can just punch you in the face with power, and he's so versatile. But if we're going on this year, I think it's between Kareem Hunt and Todd Gurley.
It's interesting that we haven't even mentioned the name Ezekiel Elliott, right? I think that speaks volumes to the way in which the Dallas Cowboys are struggling, the way in which that offensive line is not run blocking as well as it did last year. So very telling there, Mitchell, the fact that we didn't mention Zeke. So weigh in, who's the best RB in the league? Let's get to number 4. This guy could certainly be in our comments section right now. Kareem Hunt, an absolute stud, Mitchell.
Kareem the Dream, baby.
There you go.
He's been an absolute dream in fantasy, and he's been really solid this year, man. He's just doing everything. Leads the NFL with 502 rushing yards. The next closest guy to him is the guy we just mentioned, Todd Gurley, 362. Nobody's even close to this guy. This guy's averaging, listen to this, 7.4 yards per carry. That's laughable. That's numbers that you put up on Madden sitting in your basement.
On rookie.
On rookie.
You know?
Exactly. But I mean, 13 catches, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns, man. This guy is just doing it all. Chiefs are 4-0, and you could argue he's one of the main reasons. I don't know if he's the main reason, but he's definitely up there.
I see what you're saying there, Mitchell. A little foreshadowing for perhaps another Chief player on our list. Let's get to number 3 here, Tom Brady. There he is. And look, it's been a situation with New England where that defense is not getting it done. It's a point of emphasis for Brady to basically throw the football 45 to 50 times.
Yeah, and it's not working for him. They're not winning games, and I think when you look at MVPs, I think also wins comes into account, which is maybe another reason, another foreshadow. Somebody else is above him a little bit, but 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, quarterback rating of 116.1. Only one quarterback has a better rating than he does, and yet he's on pace right now, though, to break Peyton Manning's passing record of 4,477 yards. He's got 1,399 yards right now, but I think some of that has to do with the poor defense and him playing catch-up.
So Tom Brady has a chance to break history in that regard tomorrow night. He plays on Thursday Night Football against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Can also tie Brett Favre and Peyton Manning for most regular season wins. So there you go. Tom Brady with some chances at history tomorrow night against Tampa Bay. That one at Raymond James Stadium. Let's move on to number 2 here, Aaron Rodgers. He too has been in a situation where he's had to carry this team.
And yet again, he's carrying the team. And the Packers have dealt with so many injuries this season that I don't really think many people are talking about. Randall Cobb's been banged up. Yeah, we just saw Devontae Adams. He get banged up. Ty Montgomery's hurt. And that offensive line has already had substantial injuries to it. Especially at tackle. And yet, Rodgers just doing Aaron Rodgers things.
Look at the amount of throws, Mitchell. He's averaging 40 throws in 4 games. Even I can do that math there. That's perfectly even math, so that was easy for me to say.
But I mean, the other one is 300 yards in 3 or 4 games, so you're like, oh, well, why would we even put that in there? Because the game that he just had last week, sure, he only threw for 179 yards, but he threw for 4 touchdowns.
Yep.
And only threw for 179 yards. That's just what is known as efficient. And maybe this is my favorite stat that I have about Aaron Rodgers. So we talk about really solid quarterbacks being really good in the red zone. Last season and this season combined, Aaron Rodgers, 39 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the red zone.
So there you go. Aaron Rodgers there at number 2, seriously getting it done, as he always does. I'm bringing in a weigh-in here, and I am very interested to see what the audience and you say, Mitchell. So you don't have a devoted fan, a devoted team right now, so you could probably provide some pretty good perspective on this question. How excited would you be for a Rodgers versus Brady Super Bowl?
I would be excited. I would be excited AF.
AF. There you go. Comfortable.af. Thanks to Mizzen and Maine.
You got it. But I mean, if I could dream about my perfect Super Bowl, this would be it. I want to see points. I want to see quarterbacks play. These are the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, I think, right now. But
by the way, you want great tweeting opportunities as well, and I think that would provide such opportunities.
Yeah, I might actually throw that out on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at MitchellRenz365. I'm a little plug right there. But, man, this would be an amazing Super Bowl. Can't even imagine it. Fingers crossed, Cam.
I'm sure Harris Rubenstein, of course, one of our own here at Chat Sports, would love to see a little Rodgers versus Brady action in Super Bowl 52. He loves it. So weigh in on your comments in regards to that as we move on to our number 1 in our MVP power rankings. Here he is, Mr. Efficient, Alex Smith. Big point of contention, Mitchell. State your case.
Big point of, and believe me, I got kind of chewed out for this, and I can't even believe that he finished number 1 on my list. But when I dive into his numbers, I think he almost has to be number 1. The Chiefs are the only undefeated team left in the NFL, 4-0.
Right.
He leads all quarterbacks in rating, 124.2. He has a completion percentage right now, 76%, best in the NFL. That's currently on pace to break Sam Bradford's record last season was 71.6, 8 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And he's played actually like some tough competition. He went into Foxborough and absolutely embarrassed the Patriots absolutely embarrassed Tom Brady. Tom Brady only threw in that matchup 267 yards. Alex Smith, 368 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's winning games. The Chiefs are undefeated, and I think at the end of the day, when you look at wins, that's something that we associate with quarterback play, and he's not doing, I don't think, too much. He's just doing enough, and I think in the league, when you're winning games, it's Alex Smith, baby.
His stats this year are mind-boggling in the fact that, one, he hasn't turned the football over through the air, and his completion percentage, he's averaging 76%, Mitchell. Averaging. Like, not one game where he just, went off. That's his efficiency right there in that number. 56 rushing yards against Washington, too. So he still has that ability to run with the football. And I will say this, he brings that ability from his college days at Utah. Ran a lot of read option, Mitchell, so he has a lot of good reps from that time, and he's still getting it done with his legs. No game less than 73% completion percentage. Very, very impressive.
He's a sneaky athlete. He had 6 rushing touchdowns last year. Think about that.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, folks, by the way, I want you to weigh in on Alex Smith being number 1. Did we snub out on Tom Brady, perhaps Aaron Rodgers, etc.? I feel like some people do feel that way. So let us know. Comment here on NFL Daily. We are, of course, completely live, so we'll bring up those comments as they come through to us. So Alex Smith at number 1, Aaron Rodgers at number 2, Tom Brady at number 3. Do you see these names shifting at all throughout the course of the season, perhaps down or up?
100%. I mean, we're going to shift them around. There's so much that can change throughout the NFL. I mean, it's already been, man, it has been such a crazy year
I will
already.
say I don't get the NFL. I'm confused by it. Tom Downey is confused by it. We're all confused. Is the earth still round? I don't know what's happening. The Bills beat the Falcons. I'm going on a tangent here, but you're making the point that the NFL is so crazy that who knows what can happen, right?
All right, man. Maybe a kicker will be in here next week. Who knows? Greg Zerlin kicked 7 field goals.
So we are going to summarize our rankings here. Let's start with number 10, Deshaun Watson there at the quarterback position, coming off a great performance against the Tennessee Titans. In at number 9, Drew Brees, as efficient as they come, can throw the ball downfield nicely still at what is considered an old age for that position. As we move on to number 8 here, Carson Wentz getting it done for the Philadelphia Eagles. Moving on to number 7, Russell Wilson behind a porous offensive line. 0 interceptions in 3 of his 4 games this year. Absolutely outstanding for Russell Wilson there at number 7. Moving on to number 6 here, Jared Goff. What a talent he is. It's starting to show now on the national stage, Mitchell, and I'm very excited to see what he will do going forward. I think he will hang around in these rankings for sure. As we go on here to number 5, Todd Gurley. I'll stop and ask you, Mitchell, does Todd Gurley have the best chance at winning the MVP from the running back position?
Whew, man.
No pressure.
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
And it's just because I think the Chiefs are a better team, and they're being led by Kareem Hunt right now on that running game. He's just been dominant. He's been, I think, even a little bit better than Gurley, which is why he's ranked 1 spot higher. So I think if a running back's going to win it, it would be Hunt, but it would be only the 2nd time in the last 11 years, I believe.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, that'd be some crazy stuff right there. Speaking of running backs, Kareem Hunt there at number 4 for the Kansas City Chiefs. He and Alex Smith, and you're talking about duos with Goff and Gurley, he and Alex Smith as well, really making it happen. The Chiefs have yet to lose. Really a valiant performance against the Washington Redskins. It was a gutsy, grit type of game, and they got it done. So nice job by the Chiefs there. And so we move on here to number 3, Tom Brady. Many people think this is a bit of a snub in the fact that perhaps he should be a little bit higher. But, Mitch, you feel good about this. You like that Aaron Rodgers and Alex Smith are ahead of Tom.
I do. Like I said, quarterbacks, Tom is a great quarterback. There's no doubt about it. With that being said, though, they're 2-2. And, yeah, he has unbelievable numbers, but I encourage anybody to look at his numbers when they're losing by more than 15 points in this season, because he almost has more passing yards in games and blowouts than he does in close games.
That is a challenge. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Go look that up. Do your research on Tom Brady, and we'll have a chat with Harris Rubenstein after this show as well. Aaron Rodgers checking in at number 2 in our rankings. You like him a lot, Mitchell. He has just been so great the last, pretty much his whole career. And so you look at the numbers right now so far this year, classic Aaron Rodgers.
Classic Aaron Rodgers. I think he is arguably the most talented quarterback to ever play in the NFL from a physical standpoint, and I think that's an easy argument to make when you just see his ability to run, diagnose plays, arm strength. Dude's the total package.
Finally, at number 1, Alex Smith. He is our Week 5 #1 MVP in our power rankings. Mitchell, you're not going to lose any sleep over this. You stated your case. You feel good about it. Alex Smith, will he stay there throughout the year?
Will he stay there, man? I don't know. It's the NFL. A lot of stuff changes. Will I lose sleep? Probably not on this. But I think I made an okay choice with Alex Smith. I think the Chiefs right now are the best team in the NFL, and Alex Smith is playing well. And I think if you put anybody else's name over Alex Smith's bio, anything, and just gave the numbers and what the Chiefs are doing, you'd be perfectly okay with it. But the name Alex Smith makes us cringe.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Our MVP power rankings. Had a lot of fun doing it. Many thanks to Mizzen in Maine one more time for coming along the program. For people who struggle with antiperspirant, those dry fit shirts, performance fabric, they're fantastic. And I'm pointing at myself right now, and it's probably only me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for tuning into the program. We'll see you on NFL Daily, 5 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Eastern. For Mitchell, I'm Cam. We'll see you. And welcome into this edition of NFL Daily. On this hump day, I'm Cam Rogers alongside the analyst. There he is right there, Mitchell Renz. Thanks so much for tuning into the program. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, we are 100% live. We encourage you to comment, react throughout the show here today. It's a rankings kind of show, Mitchell. So we're power ranking the MVPs, of course, the LVPs, so the least valuable players, as well as ranking the best and worst coaches in the NFL. Mitchell, a lot of analysis coming the audience's way.
Oh, a lot of discussion, a lot of disputes. We've had a few disputes in the office today, and man, I'll tell you what, I cannot wait. This is going to be an awesome, awesome show.
Should be a good one indeed. But of course, it's ultra good because we are sponsored by Mizzen in Maine. Go on to comfortable.af, www.comfortable.af for that full URL, and check out these fantastic shirts made of performance fabric. So they look great, no ironing needed. They feel awesome. A lot of times with dress shirts, Mitchell, I get this problem a lot, or I hear about it too. The fact that these shirts, first of all, they're very heavy. They're very wrinkly, and Mizzen in Maine is the solution.